everybody, Steve Ritter. So it's time for smoothie and with a story. So that seems to be the leading title for these things, smoothie and a story. So let me get the light here. Might add some extra light today. So today's smoothie, actually, I do read your comments and I take note. I'm going to add some spinach today for some good dark green leafy vegetables. Get some good iron there. So I've got some spinach, and I've got about 9 strawberries that I've cut up. And then I also, like I said, I read your notes and I soaked the dates for a couple of hours before I put it in there. Let's see if that smooths the chunks out a little bit. So that's the plan today. So strawberry, date, and I'm gonna with a little bit of spinach, and again I'm gonna put about 1/8 of a teaspoon of ginger paste in there. So let's go ahead and add the vegetables, the spinach, the strawberries, the dates to sweeten it up. And just a little bit goes a long way with this ginger paste. Really couldn't taste it, although I just tasted that. I don't know why I keep doing that, but and then maybe about 1/2 cup of chickpeas for some more protein. So there we go. And of course our Labnah, which is like Kefir, the Middle Eastern Kefir. It's fermented milk. So add that in to kind of cover it up. And I know a lot of you have said, like the bananas, you can freeze them, freeze the strawberries. It makes a nice, cool, frosted drink. And I get that. I just hadn't gotten around to doing it yet, but I intend to. So just enough to cover it. Let's see how this turns out. So anyway, I got a good story for you today I wanted to share. It's kind of a heartwarming story. Just one of those moments of reflection. You look back in your life and you're like, yeah, that's true. So let me fire this up. Got a little, so we'll go ahead. I got my house band here. Go ahead and cue it up, maestro, and we'll get the music going, and then we'll, so hit it. Blended up pretty quick. Let's try this out. Now, interesting color. I think the green from the spinach mixed in well here. And I don't see so many chunks this time like I did last time with the dates. So let's see how this turned out. Looks good. Smells good. Let's see if it tastes good. Whoop. A little spillage there. Yeah, taste the strawberries. They don't take it over like the banana does. Like I said, bananas are the bullies of the fruit world. Strawberries a lot more subtle. Now I'm getting the spinach. Well, I'm not tasting it so much, but there's something there. I'm not picking up the ginger at all, which is good. But the ginger, I guess, as I'm told, what I've read is an anti-inflammatory, which is good. Yeah, all that worked with the soaking the dates because I'm not getting any chunks. So, and those of you who have asked, let me put this away, cold stuff here in the fridge. Those of you who have asked, this is my meal. It is a meal substitute for me. So I just got through going to the gym. Today was cardio day, and this is my meal. So the plan, the Boeing bigwigs are in town this week, our bosses, and they've been in town working on various things, and they plan to take us out to dinner tonight, which is nice. And so I'm going to have this smoothie here, and I'm going to eat tonight. I think it's a Turkish buffet, so I'm going to eat tonight guilt-free. So No, yeah, the buffets here. And those of you are asking, well, hey, with the corona and everything, is that impacted the buffets and all that? They have some like they have breakfast buffet here at the hotel, but what they do is they have servers that get your plate for you. So hey, give me a little of that, a little more of that, and they get it for you and hand you your plate. So that's the idea with that. So not going to get into all that. So, anyway, I wanted to share a story with you. So, by the way, everybody got their drink, everybody got their tea, their glass, their smoothie, whatever. So, tink. All right. So, cheers. Oh, I'm a big fan of that Labnah. I really like that. It's creamy and smooth, and it's got a little bit of a twang to it with the fermented. I really like it. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So what I want to talk today about, I remember a time I was sitting there thinking today. I was in pilot training back in 1994, and I was a young. I was a senior lieutenant colonel. I was senior first lieutenant. So I'd been in about 3.5 years. I was just about to put on captain. Married, and Nathan was probably, when I first got to pilot training, he was 6 months old. So he was about 8 months old when I started flying. So you have about a month in processing and ground. There's ground course and altitude chamber and all of that they do, and then you hit the flight line. You have a little bit of ground school, and then you hit the flight line and you start flying. So we started flying in West Texas in June of was it June? Yeah, it was June of 1994. Super hot, kind of like here in Abu Dhabi. But anyway, so the funny thing is, so the T-37 is what I learned to fly in initially, the primary trainer. So the seats are side by side. It's a tandem. Well, not tandem. Is that tandem? Side by side. Tandem is front to back. Anyway, somebody look it up for me. And anyway, the instructor sat right beside you on the right-hand side, and there were controls at both places. And of course, it was hot. And there's a lot of pressure on you, really nervous, and then of course we're up in this environment now where it's hot. You're in this giant, well, it's like a giant greenhouse that had a big bubble canopy, and of course as soon as that canopy came down, the sun comes. It was like a greenhouse in that thing, and it's so hot, and you're nervous. And you're a little bit scared, you're a little bit and you're bouncing around in all the summer heat and everything else, and you got a helmet on your head, and you got an oxygen mask on your face, and you're breathing through this tube, oxygen hose. All of that is a recipe for airsick. So, and they said, look, they kind of, they give you a couple of times. They're like, okay, first time, that's a gimme. I go up the first ride and I just lose it, get sick, and go up on the second ride and I get sick. So here's the deal: if you got sick the first time, no problem. Okay, you got sick the second time, they send you to the base psychologist. And it's just a standard policy that everybody that throws up on the second ride goes to and they give you some coping techniques. The third time you go, you have to go to something called the Barony chair, and that was a fate worse than death as far as I was concerned, because I hate spinning around. I hate like all the rides that spin. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. Like the old, when you're a kid, you get in the tire swing and you spin it around and wrap the chain up, and then you pick your feet up and let it spin you around. Oh, I hated that. I couldn't stand it. So that was your fate. You sit in this Barony chair, and they just spin you around. And basically, they numb you to being motion sick. They make you so motion sick that you just kind of get used to it. that was the Barony chair, which was awful. And I mean, guys would come back, and we went through as a class, so some people, just the way things worked out, they were able to kind of get ahead a little bit. And there were a few guys that had gotten sick that much that they had to go do that, and they would come back. And right after you got air sick, they would send you right over there. So there was like no mercy. There was no downtime or anything. So you had to go right over there. So you'd already gotten sick in the airplane. Then you go get in this Barony chair, and they work you over for a couple hours. And everybody that had come back from that, just face just white, and just like this shell-shocked look on their face, like they had just been almost murdered or something. So, and let me get a little more of a smoothie. So, nobody wanted to do it, and so that made it worse. So you throw up the first time, you're like, okay, and you go up. I went up the second time and got sick again, and that just made it worse, because now I know the third time is the Barony chair. So they're like, okay, well, you got to go over and speak to the psychologist, and you got to go over there and talk to them, and they're gonna just. I'm like, what do they think? I'm crazy or something? They're like, no, it's just to give you some coping techniques for what's going on, because it turns out that a lot of the air sickness, some people it's really physical, but a lot of people it's kind of mental. So I'm like, oh, okay, didn't know that, but I'll go. So I go over there, and the guy was talking. He goes, look, it's normal, just relax. Plenty of people do. Plenty of people get sick, and overcome it. Don't worry. So he gave me a technique that just I've remembered to this day. And he said, look, at some point on the ride, you're gonna get that first initial little twinge of, oh, okay, here it comes. And he goes, that's the moment when you need to just take a quick moment, a moment. It could be a couple of seconds, could be however long it takes for you to have a moment, and just think about a happy thing, the thing that makes you happy. And he said, what is that for you? And I got to thinking about it a little bit, and I was like, well, that's Nathan, my son. So still gets me when I think about it. And I'm like, just his smiling face when I come walking through the door. And so that's my happy thought. So he said, all right, well, when that moment comes, just take a moment and think about that. So the next ride comes, and so we had prepped for it and briefed up and everything else, and we were ready to go. We're going to do some basic aircraft control and stalls and things like that. Nothing really crazy. I don't even think we weren't even into acrobatics yet, so it was just the basic control, working around all that. And we go up on the flight, and it wasn't like I had to give control over because I was starting to feel it, but there was just a couple of moments in there, and he said, make sure you do this before that moment comes on where you start feeling airsick. Just every once in a while, just take a second. And I did, and I made a point. I would just kind of look out. We'd be flying along up in the area, and the instructor would be talking, and I would be listening, but I just would look outside, take a deep breath, and I just think about my happy thought, which was Nathan, and would calm me down. And went through the whole sortie. We landed, and the instructor's like, "Oh, okay, so how you think it went?" I mean, he goes, it was good. Here's some things to work on. We're taxiing. I said, you know what though, the biggest thing, I said I didn't throw up at all. And he's like, "Oh yeah, hey, great, awesome," and I never did again. So. But I think about that. So that technique and there's been moments. Well, there's always moments. There's probably not a day goes by that I don't have those moments where I just and I take a step back and I think about what I'm thankful for, and I'm thankful for just what am I happy about right now? What is it that I'm thankful for? What is it that makes me happy or whatever? I mean, it could be anything. Just walking along and taking a nice deep breath and just clean air, or the trees, or maybe the birds singing, or I think about my children or my wife, and I think about just, I think about those things, and I don't know. I think it makes you a thankful person to do that, to actively do that. I just think about that. Certainly calms you down, makes me grateful. So anyway, that's my happy place. So I thought about this a lot with these videos, and a lot of your comments I've read, and a lot of people have said that they lost their parents years ago, and that mom had basically filled that void of a lost parent, and they wish that they had videos like this of their parents. And I'm very thankful for that I have all those videos of my mom, and now I'm adding to it for my children. So I hope they appreciate that. So, and it's good for me to kind of document all this and think about things, so I don't have to try to remember it all years and years and years from now when I'm about to pass. Just try to instill all of that. So anyway, I don't want to get too overly morbid. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the chat, Smoothie, with the story. So it's like every other video, I end up crying, it seems like. So anyway, hope you all have a great day, and Sir Colonel signing off. We'll see you next time.